process. Then you hear a lot of people talking about biochemistry in ways that really shows they've never actually studied biochemistry, saying that gluconeogenesis puts your body in a stress state and raises your cortisol, even though that absolutely does not according to the textbooks and not according to the studies in humans when they do this. Also, there are multiple pathways of gluconeogenesis, but they focus on protein degradation for gluconeogenesis, which is actually the last resource your body is going to use when you're in ketosis. Until and unless you run out of your fat stores, you will not break down your muscle tissue to use as energy for gluconeogenesis. The main pathway is the glycerol pathway that comes from breaking down our fat through ketosis. This is happening anyway, and you have these triglycerides. We have a glycerol backbone and then 3 fatty acids that come attached to that. That goes to the liver. The fatty acids get turned into ketones, and the glycerol just automatically turns into glucose. The glycerol pathway does not, I repeat, does not require cortisol. Although cortisol can elevate this process, it is not required. Then they'll say, well, epinephrine or adrenaline, this is required for lipolysis to break down the fat in the first place. Of course it's not. Glucagon is the main hormone, and there are many others. Even cortisol can break down fat and cause lipolysis. But glucagon is the main hormone that causes lipolysis and triggers gluconeogenesis. When we have someone in the hospital who is in a coma because their glucose is too low and their blood sugar is too low, we don't give them an injection of cortisol. We don't give them an injection of adrenaline. We give them an injection of glucagon, because that is what drives the major pathway of gluconeogenesis, which is glycerol pathway. So often you'll see people speaking very confidently about very complex biochemical reactions. And unfortunately, to the layperson, this sounds pretty good. But to anybody who's studied biochemistry, it's obvious that they have not studied biochemistry and really have no idea what they're talking about. So to recap, most people are not quitting. In fact, more and more people are joining every day and finding amazing results, as you would expect. When people do have problems, there are myriad reasons why this might be. And in my experience, they all have solutions that can be found out and worked around and helped, so that people get positive results and improve their health and lose weight if they need to. And very importantly, being in ketosis is not a stress state. It does not elevate cortisol, and it does not damage your thyroid or any other hormonal function. In fact, adding back in carbs will raise insulin, even in spikes, and that insulin will disrupt your hormonal and physiological balance. And just the glucose itself, even coming in spikes and being down in an hour later, it's the area under the curve. When that glucose is up, it is causing excess amounts of glycation, which damages the body. This is what kills diabetics. High blood sugar damages your vessels and everything in your blood vessels. So this is what causes damage to the blood supply to your organs. Number one cause of kidney failure is high blood sugar, diabetes. The number one cause of adult onset blindness is high blood sugar, diabetes. The number one cause of getting your foot amputated or your leg amputated is high blood sugar, diabetes. And there are so many other problems that just come from high blood sugar damaging your body. So your body has to elevate insulin and get all of these other processes out of balance just to protect you from that glycation. So why do we think that adding more sugar and adding more glucose and insulin is a good idea when there is zero evidence that being in ketosis is harmful? That's our natural metabolic state. That's a natural metabolic state of nearly every animal in the world. 70% of animal species are carnivores, so they're just eating fat and protein. But then also herbivores that eat fibrous plants, which is most of them, they don't break down that fiber into glucose. It's the bacteria and microorganisms in their gut that eat the glucose from the cellulose and produce saturated fat as a result. And then those microorganisms die off and get absorbed as protein and nutrients. So even cows and gorillas are not running on carbohydrates, they're running on fat predominantly. Gorillas get 70% calories from fat, 30% from protein, very little from carbs. Cows can get nearly 80% calories from fat, 20% from protein. So there's a lot more that I can say on that subject, but I'll save it for another video that I'm going to do about adding back in carbs and why this is a bad idea. Spoiler alert, if it rots your teeth, it's going to rot your body. No animal in nature eats food that rots their teeth, because if you lose your teeth, you lose your life. You can't eat, you can't function, you can't live. The bacteria in your mouth that grow on carbohydrates are actually the same bacteria that rot your teeth and cause cavities. Your oral health is a window to your overall health, especially your cardiovascular health. And so any food that rots your teeth, causes cavities and decay, is obviously not what we're designed for or what is most beneficial for us. Thank you, everyone. I hope that was helpful for people to give you a little bit of confidence if this is something that you'd like to try out. Again, no one